Welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about my top 5 games of 2020 before next gen comes out and before Cyberpunk comes out. So the games that I've played this year that have been very important to me and made me very happy. But before we get into it, if you would like to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, press the little bell and turn notifications to all. That is really going to help my channel grow, and if you've got a second, I would massively appreciate you doing that. Also, leave a comment down below telling me about your top games of this year and what you've enjoyed playing. It doesn't necessarily have to be released in this year, but something that has been really important to you in this bad year of 2020. I have to give an honorable mention here, and that's to Fall Guys. If you've been following me on Twitter, you know that I love a bit of Fall Guys, and I've got like, I think I've got like 100 crowns in total. It's a game that came along at the perfect time in 2020 to kind of really take our focus off the rest of the world. But it is kind of just like a party game where it's all RNG and not really any skill. So I didn't really want to put this in my top 5, but it has been an incredible game, one that I absolutely love. And I'm really sad that since the game came out, it's become easier for anybody to win. It's all based on RNG, and a lot of the games have been changed with variations to just become more frustrating and less kind of satisfying. So even though I still love a bit of Fall Guys, I just think it's in a worse place than when it blew up and got big. But I still love the game. It was still important to me. I still love the game, and I hope to God they do something big with it, because it kind of needs it. It's a badass game, and it is my honorable mention. So the first game I'm going to be talking about, number 5, is a game that released in 2019. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, I made a video reviewing this game a while back and spoke about how Pokemon games now are kind of ruined and they're too easy, and it's all based like in a child's kind of world. You know, it's going to be very easy for children to adapt to the game, and there's nothing really there anymore for kind of adults and nostalgic reasons to go and play Pokemon. But I have to say, since the 2 DLCs come out, the game has massively improved. You know, bringing new legendaries in, bringing back every single old legendary in the Crown Tundra DLC really just gives you a reason to go and chase and play and have that nostalgia and hopefully get shinies and just find all the Pokemon that you love and save them all up. You know, it kind of really brings back that essence of Pokemon. So I think the DLCs really saved this game and made it worth playing in the long term. But it isn't a game that I feel like I want to play every day. It's kind of a game where I just pick it up one day and play it all day, which is great, and often I need that. So Pokemon Sword and Shield, especially the DLCs, really have made the game one to play, and hopefully they build on it and bring out more DLCs and more Pokemon and just make it incredible. Also, especially with the Crown Tundra, the challenge kind of went through the roof, because, you know, the amount of max raid battles and the Dynamax adventures, it became quite a challenge. So it's a lot of fun, and there's also a challenge there now too. So I really love the game right now in the position that it's in. Number 4 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This was a weird one for me because I've never played an Animal Crossing before, ever. I looked at it and I just thought, this is not a game for me. Even though I kind of love kind of building games and stuff, Animal Crossing just didn't seem to stoke my fires. But it's a very special and important game for me because I had a seizure this year and it was quite a bad one. I'm still suffering 8 months later with the pain in my back, in my spine and my muscles. But when I literally couldn't move due to the, you know, the immediate after effects of the seizure, this game came out and I put God knows how many hours into it. I think I have like 1,000 hours played now before I eventually got bored, and it was just there at the perfect time for me, and it really was something I sunk my teeth into. It really helped me with my, you know, my mental health, and kept me focused and kept me happy and just kept me entertained while I was stuck in bed. You know, the collecting in the game and getting the fossils and all that kind of stuff was really fun for me. The building obviously was great too. I do feel it was limited in a lot of ways, and they kind of held back features that were in the previous games apparently and released them a little bit later on, which, you know, is fine or whatever. So it wasn't like the most innovative, I hate that word so much, Animal Crossing game, but for me it just came at a perfect time and it really helped me out with my recovery. Number 3, Paper Mario, the Origami King. A lot of you saw my Let's Play on this game and you know how much I loved this game. It was something just completely new and unique to me. I'd never played a Paper Mario before. I'd watched it and I'd seen it, but I'd never played one before. And this game was unbelievable in its aesthetic, to its comedy, the way it was written, the characters that were involved, you know, all the bosses and the way they were shaped in the game, and just the whole story from the start to finish. And you know, it even hit me emotionally. Like, I got sad and was crying by the end of the game, because you become sort of involved with this world. You feel like you're a part of it. You feel like you know the characters. And it was just an unbelievable game. And if it wasn't for the top 2 games on my list right now, it definitely would be number 1, 1000%. It's one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life, let alone just this year. Number 2, before the game even come out, was always going to be my number 1. 1000% was going to be my number 1. My number 1 game of all time, more than likely. A lot of you know that Final Fantasy VII is one of the best games I've ever played. I highly regard it as the best game ever made in the history of gaming. I have played and completed it to 100%, over 250 times easily. As soon as I complete a game, I start another one, because I just love Final Fantasy VII. I don't know whether it's because I'm autistic and I just became obsessed, or it's a special interest of mine, but I just love Final Fantasy VII. I love all Final Fantasies, to be fair, but Final Fantasy VII just is my life. It really is. And Final Fantasy VII Remake makes number 2 in my list, and not for any other reason than number 1 was a complete surprise game for me. But Final Fantasy VII Remake for me was perfect. You know, a lot of people are very purist about the game and they don't like the kind of story that's being told in the remake, but the world that is built in Final Fantasy VII Remake really takes me back nostalgically to Final Fantasy VII, but they've really expanded the world and made sense of it, because obviously in Final Fantasy VII you'd go through one door, you'd pop out somewhere else. But in this game, they've really built that area up, so you actually go into the place and you walk around and then you come out the other door naturally. And the world itself feels like people actually live there. So, you know, the Sector 7 slums and just every single place in this game feels like a real place that you are immersed in. They do such a good job with immersion. On top of that, the battle system is incredible. You know, it takes after Final Fantasy 15, but kind of reins 15 back to a perfect place, so that Final Fantasy 7's battle system is just unbelievable. There's so much to do in Final Fantasy 7, side quests, you know, leveling up everyone's weapons, getting multiple weapons, being able to pick and choose what weapons you want to use and how to level them up through the skill tree is just unbelievable. The graphics, the designs of the characters, the voice acting, the music are all just unbelievable. Sephiroth in this game is just magical. But on top of all that, I really love where the story's going, and I'm looking forward to the second part and potentially third part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, you couldn't believe someone is looking forward to something. Love this game. Definitely would have been my number 1 spot if it wasn't for the surprise of my lifetime. And that's my number 1, Hades. Man, this game came out of nowhere for me. I saw some streamers playing it and I thought, I'm going to give that a try. I love roguelike games, and it was just unbelievable. The aesthetic, the design, the voice acting, the characters, the world, literally everything about this game for me is just appealing. But it's not just that. There is so much lore and context and just things to do in this game. It's unbelievable. Yeah, you go through the same floor tiers. So every single run, you'll see the same enemies, you'll do the same things, and you'll see the same bosses. But the variations in every run are exponential. Every weapon in this game, I think there's 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's 5 weapons. Each weapon has 3 aspects, so that each weapon you take, you can change the way it works by changing its aspect, and then you can level them up in terms of how much damage they do and stuff like that within their aspects. And to level them up, you need a specific material, which is hard to come by. You have to complete the game and kill bosses and enemies to get that material to be able to level up and change the guns to how you want to play. Then there's accessories. You can collect accessories from pretty much every character in the game, and each accessory does something different. So you have to build up like relationships with people, and to build up relationships you need certain items that you pick up during your runs that you keep on doing over and over again, and it takes like 10 to 15 of those materials that you pick up just to get one person to a point where they give you that accessory, and then you still have to build up a relationship with them beyond that too. When you actually go through the fights, when you're going through the whole game, as you start it, you're going through all the dungeons and all that, each room offers you a reward or a bonus or something like that. So each weapon can be changed using the hammer item that you get, and that can change the weapon in itself too. So you got a weapon, then you choose its aspect, and then you choose how to change it while you're going through the game. And on top of that, every single boon or like upgrade or buff to your weapons or your critical percent damage or your health or, you know, support attacks and stuff like that all change every single time due to the amount of characters or the gods of Olympus that you encounter, and they can be random. There's just so much stuff in this game. It's unbelievable. And then you collect materials to kind of change how the home world looks, so you can decorate it the way you want to do it. And the game isn't easy at all. It's a challenge. So the first couple of times you run through it, you're probably going to not even get off the first floor. To get to Hades and beat Hades, you have to play this game at least 30 times over just to get into the position where you learn the game and learn the fights. And then when you beat him, you've beat him with one weapon. Then you have to beat him with the other 5 weapons. When you do that, then you get a thing called the punishment pact, so you can add kind of modifiers to your runs. So you can take more damage from traps, you can make enemies have to take an extra hit so that they're shielded and invulnerable till you hit them. You can make enemies do different moves and have variation moves. You can change how bosses work. You know, there's so much to do in this game. And then when you use the punishment pact, it changes the rewards. So once you run through with a weapon, you can get 4 materials that you need, you know, to do all the things that I just said before. But when you get to your heat levels, so you go to heat level 2, which is the next step up, then you can get all those rewards again. To get heat level, you have to add those modifiers. That heat level goes up to 10. So you have to run with every single weapon 10 times on the different heat levels to get enough materials to be able to build up everything else in the game. And it's just an incredible game. The voice acting in it as well is unbelievable. The music is incredible. Just the story, everything you can do in this game is just unbelievable. One of the best games I've played in a very, very long time. Definitely in my top 10 of all time, but this year specifically, it's just been an unbelievable game, and I highly, highly suggest that anybody plays it if you like that style of game. And that's kind of my top 5 games of this year prior to next-gen consoles and the games that we're going to see there, because I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man, Cyberpunk, and other games would take all of these spots away. Maybe not from Hades, but from probably 3, 4, and 5 might get knocked off for these other games. So I just wanted to make this with kind of like before we get to these badass new generations, these are my best games of this year, or best games I've played this year. So let me know in the comment section what games you've played, what games you've loved. Let me know, because I might pick them up and think, oh, that sounds good, and I'll play it and have a look at it. So let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, hit the little bell, turn notifications on. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.